Former Senior Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs, Prof S Jayakumar, reminded presidential hopefuls of the role and powers of the elected presidency. He was reacting to various comments made by prospective presidential candidates with regard to the functions and authority of the president set out in the Constitution. Among them, the eligibility to run for the presidency and the powers that come with the position.
I must say I'm a bit surprised and disappointed over some of the statements and claims made by some of the would-be candidates about what they intend to do if they get elected. Some of their statements seem to imply that the president is a center of power unto himself, distinct from the government of the day, and implies that he has certain executive powers. That is not the case. The president does have some discretionary custodial powers in a few areas, mainly the protection of reserves on key appointments, and he also has some custodial powers in ISA detentions, CPIB investigations, and the restraining orders under the Maintenance of Religious Harmony Act. But even in those few areas, the president has no power to initiate decisions or policy. He only has blocking powers. Other than those specified areas, in all other areas, the president, under the Constitution, must act on the advice of the cabinet. That is a clear legal position. So I think it is good if all Singaporeans, especially candidates, are very clear about what exactly the role of the president is, what he can do, what he cannot do. I say that because I do worry that otherwise there may be wrong expectations about the role of the president, and we should avoid that.
Former Chief of NTUC Income, Tan Kin Lian, has signalled his intent to run for president on the 8th of June via his blog. In an entry, he wrote about the new approach he would take if elected. For instance, presenting an annual report to the government on Singapore's reserves and balances held in the Central Provident Fund. He also suggests that the president use his influence to advocate a more conservative investment approach for GIC and Temasek Holdings. Another presidential hopeful, Ooi Boon Ooi, who was denied the certificate of eligibility required to run for the position, also criticized the requirements that one must hold certain high positions in the civil or public service or be a chairman or CEO under the Companies Act with a paid-up capital of at least 100 million Singapore dollars for 3 years. The self-employed Mr. Wee, who does not meet this criteria, said, "You mean Obama can qualify? President who can qualify? So if all the presidents of the world doesn't qualify, don't do such a thing." As former law minister, Professor Jayakumar was closely involved in the drafting of the two white papers mooting the elected presidency and constitutional amendment that created the new institution in 1991. Despite his disappointment with remarks made about the role of the presidency, Professor Jayakumar was certain about one thing.
Your position as far as are you intending to?
No, I can tell you categorically that I am not a candidate for the elected president. So that answers your question clearly.